So you're married with kids and your partner suddenly tells you they're leaving you for the love of their life. Then, when that new relationship crumbles, they come crawling back asking for another chance. That's exactly the situation I find myself in right now. My soon to be ex wife filed for divorce 8 months ago. We've been separated for the same amount of time, and during that period, she moved in with her affair partner. Our divorce is set to be finalized next month. However, in a twist I didn't expect, she's now begging me not to go through with it. She wants to reconcile. A little background. My wife, a 38 years old female, and I, 37 years old male, met in college. We dated for 5 years before getting married, and overall, I would say our marriage was good. Sure, we had our ups and downs, but nothing that ever seemed insurmountable. We built a life together and had two beautiful daughters, now 13 and 15. For years, I thought we were happy, or at least content. But looking back, I now realize there were signs, subtle at first, then glaring, that something was changing. In January of last year, I noticed my wife spending a lot more time on her phone. At first, I chalked it up to work, social media, or just casual texting with friends. But then it became excessive. She was glued to it, smiling at texts, being secretive about who she was talking to, and getting defensive whenever I asked about it. It didn't take long for my gut to tell me something was wrong. When I confronted her, she denied everything. She gaslighted me, made me feel like I was being paranoid. She told me I was imagining things, that I was insecure, that I didn't trust her. I tried to be better, thinking maybe I was the problem. I reflected on our marriage, on the things I could improve, and I genuinely put in the effort to make sure she felt loved, supported, and heard. But no matter what I did, it didn't seem to be enough. I could feel her slipping away. Then in June, she finally admitted it. She had been having an emotional affair and had already slept with him twice. She cried, said she regretted it, but then turned around and blamed me. She told me that she had been unhappy for a long time, that I wasn't giving her what she needed emotionally, and that's why she strayed. She swore she wanted to fix things, so I agreed to try reconciliation. But deep down, I think I already knew she wasn't really in it. Even while we were supposedly working on our marriage, she continued talking to him. She swore they were just friends now, but she kept deleting texts and hiding things. Every time I brought it up, she would get angry, flip the script, and somehow I would end up apologizing. She would cry, apologize, and beg me to stay whenever I got close to leaving. But nothing changed. Then, around September, she started pulling away again. She would leave for hours, saying she was visiting family or helping someone in need. I knew where she was. I knew she was with him. But when I confronted her, she was so convincing, so good at lying, that I would question myself. One weekend, she completely disappeared. No calls, no texts. When she finally came back, she spun a ridiculous story about a sick cousin and leaving her phone at her sister's place. I didn't believe her, but I was so drained, so exhausted from the emotional battle, that I let it go. By mid-December, she told me she was done. She said she had been unhappy for years, that while she still cared about me, she had finally found her soulmate. I remember that moment vividly, the coldness in her voice, the finality in her words. I begged, I pleaded, I cried for hours, but she had already made up her mind. Then came the hardest part, telling our kids. She said I could have them during the weekdays, while she would visit them on weekends since her affair partner's apartment was too small for them to stay over. A week later, she filed for divorce. That was the lowest point of my life. I spent weeks in a fog, unable to function properly. I grieved the life I thought we had, the family we had built, the person I had loved for so long. And when I finally gathered the courage to reach out and ask if there was even the slightest chance she would come back, she shut it down completely. She was done. At first, no one knew what had really happened. Our families only knew we were separated, but I hadn't told them why. Then, by the end of January, her mother called me, pressing for answers. I finally broke down and told her everything. When she and my father-in-law came over, I sobbed into my mother-in-law's shoulder as I told them what their daughter had done. They were shocked. They comforted me. They apologized for her actions. I later told my own parents and a few close friends, and soon enough, word got out. The reaction was overwhelming. Some people were supportive, others were furious at my wife. And when she found out that people had turned on her, she was livid. She called me, screaming through tears that I had turned everyone against her, that she hated me. that people were sending her and her affair partner threats. Her dad wasn't speaking to her, her sisters had distanced themselves, and everywhere she turned, she was met with disappointment and anger. By June, the stress had completely destroyed her relationship with her affair partner. He kicked her out, saying he couldn't handle it anymore. She was living in a hotel when she came to see the kids. She looked terrible, like someone completely drained and broken. She admitted to me that her affair partner had been nothing like she thought, that he hadn't truly cared about her, that she had made a terrible mistake. She asked if she could move back in. I told her no. She said she understood, but she wanted to spend more time with the kids. She started coming over in the afternoons, cooking for them, trying to make up for lost time. But it wasn't just about them, she was trying to win me back too. She would cook my favorite meals, leave little notes saying, I love you, and try to create the life we once had. At first, I kept my distance, but over time, I found myself enjoying her company again. Then she started bringing up the idea of reconciliation, of marriage counseling. She changed her appearance, dressing in ways she knew I liked, wearing makeup, trying to reignite something between us. She even tried to initiate intimacy, but I rejected her every time. Most recently, she broke down crying, begging me not to go through with the divorce. She told me she had been going to therapy, that she had realized how much she had hurt me, and that she would do whatever it took to fix our marriage. She said she couldn't bear to lose me. And now, here I am, numb to it all. A part of me feels vindicated. She got a taste of her own medicine, and now she's the one begging. But another part of me still loves her. So here's my question. Should I give her another chance?